guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be ranking all of the highlighters in my collection. If you guys missed it, I did just recently do a highlighter declutter where I narrowed down my collection a little bit, got rid of a few things I didn't love. And so these are all products that I really do enjoy. So even though I am ranking them from my favorite to my least favorite, that's of what I own, I still really do enjoy all of these and do love them, and that's why they're still here in my collection. But yeah, we are going to be going through 36 highlighters today. I know that sounds like a lot, but yeah, the highlighter is a category where I do own quite a few. Yeah, we're just gonna get into this because this is gonna be a long video. This is a lot of highlighters. So I'm gonna actually be counting down from my least favorite to my favorite. So we're gonna start out with the ones that are my least favorite from my collection. And I will link everything down in the description box in case you wanna check anything out. But the first thing is from Lancome. This is fairly new to my collection. This is called the Lro Starlight Sparkle. And it is one of the highlighters that has like the actual rose inside here. And then the product is just kind of glazed on top of this rose. So I think that the actual product is pretty. It has kind of a, I'll try to swatch what I can, but some of these won't swatch very good. This is one that's not going to show up on a swatch very well. Yeah, I don't think you guys will see it at all. It has a very subtle highlight. It's not a really dark highlight, and it's more of kind of a loose glitter. It's not a very intense highlight. It's very subtle, and you can almost just kind of catch the glitter in this particular one. So for that reason, it's not my favorite. Also, I don't like that you really have to like dig your brush on here, like really kind of work your brush in there to get enough product to actually apply. There's just not a lot of product in here, and it's very bulky, as you can see from the packaging. It's super bulky, so it takes up a ton of space in my drawer, in my storage. So for that reason, it's not one of my favorites, although I do think it looks pretty on the skin. It's just not one of my favorites. This is one that I don't know if I'll keep long term. When I did my declutter, it was really new still, so I was still kind of testing it out, and I don't know if I'm going to keep this long term. Still kind of playing with it. All right, in spot number 35 is this one here from Milk Makeup. This is called the Holographic Highlighting Powder. So that is what it looks like inside. I actually haven't tried a lot from Milk Makeup, so I was excited to try something from them. I know they do a lot more like cream-based products, but I wanted to, I'm not a big fan of cream-based highlighters, so I wanted to try something powder. This is just a very thick powder. I'll show you a swatch. I put it on this side of my hand. Hopefully you can see it. It's just a very thick powder, so it does kind of look strange on my skin, I feel like. I feel like I have to use it more as a blush topper than a highlighter because it just gives this weird textured look to the skin. So I kind of blend it out and buff it out more as like a blush topper. The color's pretty. It's kind of like a pinky peach shift to it, so I do like the color. It's just more the texture of the powder that kind of throws me off. All right, next up, this is a limited edition one from Wet n Wild. I don't know if you can still find this, but I will try to link it if I can find it. It's the Mega Glow Loose Highlighting Powder. I actually love the way this looks on the skin. It's gorgeous. The only thing is, it's something I won't use very often, and that's why it is one of my least favorites, because it is a very intense, glittery, glistening, I mean, I'll show you. It's crazy how intense this is. I put it all over right here. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Oh, these are swatches. Highlighters are so hard to show on camera a swatch of, but it is a very intense, glittery highlight. So it's not one that I use all the time, but it is definitely a look. So I like using this if I want a very intense highlight, or I even use it on my eyes sometimes, or even like on my shoulders or something like that in the summer. So I definitely use it still, but it's something that I use sparingly and only on certain occasions. So for that reason, it made it kind of near the bottom, but I still think it is a fantastic product. Next up is one from Laura Geller. This is called the Big Gelato Illuminator in Peach Glow. I actually have two of these, and the other shade made it much higher up in my favorites. The reason this is not one of my absolute favorites is more color than anything else. I have a lot of these kind of peachy toned highlights. And this particular shade isn't my favorite shade. I don't think it catches the light as beautiful as some of my other peachy tone highlighters, so for that reason it's kind of lower on my list, but I still really like the formula of these Big Gelato highlighters. I also have some Big Gelato blushes, and I love those as well. I think they're really beautiful, kind of almost a little bit creamy when you first apply them. They just go on really, really nicely to the skin, so definitely recommend that. I do really like it, but it is near the bottom. All right, I can't keep track of what number we're at, but next up is this here from Wet n Wild. This is one of the Mega Glow highlighting powders in the shade Blossom Glow. Again, I do have a couple of these, and this one I think is nice, but it's just a little bit light on my skin, so it's one that I wear more in the winter time, but I can't wear it year round, so that's why it's kind of near the bottom as well. So this one is right here in the center. It definitely looks great on my skin when I'm really, really fair, but if I have any sort of tan, it's gonna look way too light on me. So this one kind of gets reserved for just the winter time. So I think it is really beautiful. It's a great drugstore highlighter. It's just not one that I can use all the time, so it's near the end for me. All right, next up is another, or I guess this is the first Becca highlighter we've done so far. I have a lot of Becca kind of sprinkled throughout. This one here is one of the Light Chaser highlighters, and it is the Champagne Dream Flashes Bellini. Again, this is more for color, why it made it near the bottom. It is kind of a peachy toned highlight as well. And again, I do like peachy tone highlights. I just have a lot of them, so some of them I prefer over others. But here's a swatch right here. These swatches are going to be so hard. I hope you guys can see. It is a shade that I can definitely pull off year round, so that is nice. But it's just, it's kind of a little bit more subtle of a peach highlight. So I think it's nice. It's just not my absolute favorite. All right, next up is a Josie Maran highlighter. This is actually the Argan Enlightenment Illuminating Veil. I think this has been discontinued, which is one of the reasons it's near the bottom. I don't use it as much because you guys can't get it anymore. You might be able to find it on her website. I'll check for it for you guys. But this is a really subtle highlight, like the most subtle highlight I own, even more than like the Hourglass or Reserve Your Cabana. It's almost invisible on the skin. I'm not going to swatch this for you because you can't see it on the swatch whatsoever. It is almost like a finishing powder more than a highlighter because it just adds a very, very subtle glow that is almost undetectable, but you can kind of build it up and get it to be a little bit more visible, but it's definitely an extremely subtle highlight. I often do use this as a finishing powder instead of a highlight because it is so subtle, but I do like it. I think it's a really versatile little product. So yeah, I do still enjoy using it. It's just not one of my top favorites. All right, next up we have another Becca one. This is one of the original Becca. This is the shade Pearl. So this one, I actually really love wearing this in the winter, but this is another one that I can only pull off in the winter. It is way too light for me to wear year round. Hopefully you can see that one a little bit better. I put it right here. It's just like a pearly white shade. So this works great if you have very, very porcelain skin. This is a great highlighter. And like I said, I can pull this off in the winter. I just cannot use it year round. So I still really love it. I'm super happy that I have it because in the winter time, I do like having a shade like this, but it's just limited use for me. Okay, next up I have another drugstore highlighter. This is from Maybelline. It's the Master Chrome highlight, and I have this shade Molten Rose Gold. I had a few of these, but this is the only one that I still own. These are intense. Like these are almost like a foiled, really intense highlighter. I mean, they're really beautiful. I'll show you a swatch. So you can probably see it right here. It's kind of got like a rose gold shade to it, so it's like a pinky gold. I think it's really pretty, especially on my skin in the summertime when I do have a little bit more of a tan. The only thing that I don't like about this highlighter is the lasting power. So it goes on super metallic, super foiled. It's really stunning if you want a very intense highlight, but it does not last all day. So that is something that I don't like about this one, but I think it's so beautiful that I have hung on to it through a few declutters actually, because I think it's a great drugstore highlight. It's just not gonna give you the all day staying power that like a Becca one would or something like that. So still really nice, and I definitely still love having it. Okay, next up we have an Oprah highlighter. This is the highlighter in the shade Pillow Talk. This is a really pretty, almost like a pearl shade with a little pink undertone. So this is it right here. As you can see, it's pretty light. Again, this is another shade that I prefer wearing in the winter time. If I go really light-handed, I can definitely wear it year round. It's not quite as bright as like the pearl one, but it's still very nice. And I actually like using that as like an inner corner highlight for my eye as well. I think it's so beautiful as an inner corner highlight. So I definitely really love this. I love the formula. It's super creamy. Like when you put your finger in it, it's so creamy and so easy to apply and to blend, and you get just great pigmentation from this one. So I definitely really love this one as well. Next up, I have a highlighter from Nars. This is the shade Albatross. This shade is so unique. I don't have anything else like this in my collection. I think I have found other ones that are similar, but I really love this shade because of how unique it is. So it has kind of a creamy white base to it, but it shifts yellow and like a yellowy gold. It's so, so pretty on like really porcelain to maybe even medium skin could pull it off, but this is it right here. It's just like a light yellow gold. It's so, so, so pretty. I like the formula. I like the color. I like the staying power. I think this is a really good highlighter. It's just a little bit more of a unique color, so I don't necessarily like wearing it every day. It's not like something that I would reach for over and over again. It really depends on the look that I have going on that day, but I think it's really beautiful and I'm really glad I own it. All right, next we have another one of the Becca highlighters. This time it is Champagne Pop. I do like Champagne Pop, but it is not my favorite color. I have quite a few other Becca highlighters that I prefer over this one. Again, it's another kind of peachy one. It's a little bit more subtle than some of the other ones. It doesn't have like that holographic shift that the Becca one I showed you has, but hopefully you can see that. It's so hard to swatch these. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about this particular one. I don't know if this is one I'm going to keep long-term in my collection. I feel like it's similar to Opal, but I like Opal a little bit better than this one. But yeah, it's a good highlighter. It's a great formula. Becca highlighters is hands down one of my favorite formulas. They last all day. They're so creamy. They're so blendable. They're so beautiful on the skin. So next up, I have another one of these Wet n Wild highlighters. This one is the Precious Petals. I like this shade a little bit better than the other shade I own. This one reminds me actually a little bit of Champagne Pop, but I don't know, something about it I prefer a little bit better. It's right here. I feel like these swatches are going to be garbage. I don't think you guys are going to be able to see any of these swatches. Highlighters are just so hard to show on camera. But it is a really pretty color and I've had this a long time and I really do love having it in my collection. Next up, I have a Too Faced highlighter. This is the Candlelight Glow highlighter in the shade Warm Glow. Did they discontinue these? I feel like they got rid of a bunch of stuff that they've had around for a long time. This might have been one of them. But anyways, this is like a highlighter duo. So you have this kind of yellowy golden highlight on this side and then more of a peachy highlight on the side. I like the fact that it has two highlighters. You can swirl your brush to get one shade or you can focus your brush on one side or the other for a different shade. This is more of a subtle highlight, not super subtle, like you can definitely still see it on your skin. It does give you that glow to the skin, but it's definitely not glittery and it's not metallic or intense like some of the other ones that I've shown you. This is definitely more on the subtle side. So if you prefer that, I think you'd really like this one. And I like I said, I like the versatility that you have a few different shade options in this one little palette. Next up, another Becca one. This is Becca Opal. So like I said, I do like this one a little bit better than Champagne Pop. The color, in my opinion, is just a little bit better. It is more of like a true champagne gold color. It doesn't have that peachy shift to it the way that Champagne Pop does. I'm trying to find a spot to swatch this. I don't know, guys. I don't think you're gonna be able to see any of these swatches. But that's it right here. So it is a really pretty, just champagne gold highlight, pretty basic. But it's one of those ones that you can use like every single day and it's gonna look good with any makeup look you have. All right, next up I have another very subtle highlight. This one is from Cabana. It's the Candlelight highlight. This one I'm not going to bother swatching because it is very, very subtle. So this is one that you could use as a finishing powder, or I like to use it on my cheekbones, but I kind of build it up and then you get just that really natural glow. It doesn't look like you have a highlight on, but sometimes you'll just catch the light and you look like you're glowing. So I really like this one. This is one when I have it in my everyday makeup drawer, I find myself reaching for it nearly every day, especially when I do a more neutral look with my makeup. I think it's just a really versatile little highlighter. Next up, this is another discontinued item. This is from Stila. It's called the Set and Illuminate Baked Powder Trio. The actual powder of this I absolutely love. I have actually gone through a full size one of these. This is my second full size that I've owned, and I really love the way that it looks on the skin. It's just beautiful. It actually reminds me a lot of MAC Soft and Gentle, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. It's just that perfect golden highlight. It gives you the right amount of intensity without being like too shimmery, but you can see it. It's just like the perfect amount of glow. I really, really love it. The only thing that made this kind of near the middle of my collection is that it is very bulky. The packaging is very bulky and it's not super convenient. It has kind of the sifter on it, so you have to turn the sifter to get it to scrape up the powder, and then it can get a little messy in there. So that is only the only reason that it made it kind of near the middle of my collection, but I still think it is a fantastic highlighter and I still really enjoy using it. All right, next up is the Smashbox and Vlada highlighter. This particular highlighter is one of my favorites because of packaging. I just find it so beautiful. I don't think I'll ever be able to let go of it. I love, I followed Vlada on Instagram for the longest time, and I just love her pictures and her lip art. She's very, very talented. And when I saw this coming out, I just knew I wanted to have it because it's just so beautiful. It's like rose gold, has the rose imprint on the front, and then the rose imprint is carried through to the actual powder itself. Now the actual highlighter I think is okay. It's not fantastic. It's okay. It is a little bit more subtle but buildable. You can build it up to a bit more of an intense highlight, but again, it's that kind of peachy shifts pink highlight, which I have a lot of those in my collection, and the formula of this one is not my favorite, but I love the packaging so much that it kind of made it a little closer to the top of my collection. I still just think it's a beautiful product in general. So, all right, next up we have another Wet n Wild product. This is the Mega Glow Highlighting Gold Bar. This was really hard to find in limited edition, but I'm pretty sure they came back with it and they have other shades, I want to say now. But this is just like the original gold one. This is so beautiful. It's one of my favorite drugstore highlighters. In fact, is it my favorite? No, it's not my favorite, but it's close. It's really close to the top for drugstore highlighters. It's just so pretty. It's not like too yellowy gold. It's not too dark. It's just like the perfect shade for my skin tone, and it shows up really pretty on the skin. So I really enjoy that one. Definitely love having it. Next up from The Balm, this is the Mary Luminizer. This is such a classic, like everyone used to talk about this in my beginning days of YouTube, but this is just a really good champagne colored highlight, and it's like the perfect highlight for my skin tone, honestly. That's it right here. Hopefully you can see it. It is a little bit subtle, but you can build it up to be a little bit more intense, and it definitely shows up. It's one that will catch the light. You will be able to see that you have kind of a shimmer going on in the cheeks, but I think it's really nice. I've almost hit pan on it. I've got pretty close to pan there. You can see that little imprint, but I think it's a great product. I love this. All right, next up from Laura Geller, this is the other one of those baked gelato swirls that I have. This is the shade Diamond Dust. This made it closer to the top because this shade I feel like is a little bit more unique. It is kind of a pink shift to it. Hopefully you guys will be able to see this on the swatch. Yeah, this one should show up better. It's almost like sheer with a pink shift. So it's almost like, depending on how it catches the light, it's invisible or it shifts pink. I just think it's so pretty. Again, I use this one more as maybe like a blush topper than a highlight, but I don't have anything like this, and I just find it to be so beautiful on the skin. So for that reason, it made a little bit higher up, but I do really like the formula on these as well. They're really nice. All right, next up, another one that I'm not gonna bother even trying to swatch because I know you will not be able to see this one. This is the Reserve Your Cabana from Wet n Wild. This is such an old school item. This is one that people have talked about for the longest time, and for good reason. It is almost an exact dupe for like the Hourglass powders. It is very finely milled. You can use it as a finishing powder or as an ultra subtle highlight. I kind of do both with this. Sometimes I even set my under eye with it if I really want a bright under eye, but it's a very, very subtle product. You get so much in here. Like, I've had this the longest time. I feel like I use it all the time. Still haven't hit pan on it. I think they've repackaged, but these are still available as far as I know, and I highly recommend this. This is one of my favorite drugstore products of all time. It is just that good. It's just a really good drugstore highlighting powder or finishing powder, depending on how you want to use it. All right, next up, another one of these Becca highlighters. This time, this is the shade Rose Quartz, which was limited edition. I don't know if it's still available or not. This is another kind of peachy pink highlight. It's a little bit more pink than peach, which most of my other ones are more peach than pink. So I like this one a little bit better than the other ones because of that. I like the pink a little bit better. So this is it right here on the end of my hand. Hopefully you can kind of see that. It's really pretty. It's just a little bit more of a subtle one, but again, these Becca ones, you can build them up and make them very intense as well. So just a really good product. All right, next up, my first one of these liquid highlighters to talk about. I only own 2 liquid highlighters, but I really love both of them, and that's why I kept them around in my collection. So this one is from Marc Jacobs. It's the Dewdrops. This is like liquid gold, you guys. It is a very intense gold highlighter. I like using this in the summertime only, and I'll use it either on a day where I'm doing like a no makeup day, and I want that like golden glowy skin, or I even use it like on my body, especially like on my décolleté or shoulders. I'm trying to swatch it here for you guys. It's subtle, but it's also like intense at the same time, if that makes sense. Like the color itself kind of just blends in and melts into the skin, and it just looks like your skin is glowing. Like it's so hard to explain. And the scent, I love the way it smells. It just smells like summertime to me. But yeah, I really love these. I definitely break them out more in the summer than, it's not something I use year round usually, but I do really love them. I can't actually wait to pull them out again soon because we're getting into warmer weather. But yeah, I definitely recommend these. I love them. All right, next up from Fenty Beauty. This is actually the Fenty Kilowatt Highlighter in Mean Money and Hustla Baby. So the reason this made it near the top for me is because I realized I almost decluttered this last year in my declutter, and then I was like, you know, I just can't let go of it because I like traveling with it. And after that, I realized how much I actually use this. I love the fact that it's a duo, so you get 2 different shades and it's compact, so it's perfect for traveling. And the fact that it's 2 different intensities. So this side here is very foiled, very metallic if you want an intense highlight, and this one is super, super subtle. So you could bring just this and nothing else if you're even going on a longer trip and you want a little versatility in your highlighters, because it gives you both. Best of both worlds, subtle or intense. Also, I do like sometimes using this one in particular as an eyeshadow. So it's a very versatile product, great for travel. I really, really love it. And this color combination is one of my favorites of the line from Fenty. So definitely recommend that. All right, we're almost to the top 10. So this here is actually number 11. This is from Anastasia. This is the Amrezy Highlight. Again, this is another one that was limited edition that they brought back permanently. The packaging and the product itself in the packaging is stunning. Like it's just so beautiful, but the actual highlight is fantastic. This is another buildable formula. So you can make it really sheer and subtle, or you can build it up and get the most intense golden highlight. I put it right here, so hopefully you can kind of see that. But it doesn't look crazy like glittery. It still gives you that very almost a metallic, if you really build it up, like a metallic finish to it. But I think it's beautiful on the skin, and I love using this one. Okay, we have made it to the top 10. This is gonna be such a long video, I apologize. Next up is again from Becca. This is a limited edition one in the shade Lilac Geode. This one is so unique as well. That is why it made it near the top for me. It's almost like a pinkish purple shade. Ugh, I love this so much. Hopefully you can see that. It's kind of a pinky purple. Depending on how it catches the light, it can look more purple or it can look more pink, but it is really, really pretty. And I don't have anything else like this color in my collection, and that is why I like it so much. All right, number 8 and 9 are basically the same product in 2 different colors, and I couldn't pick which one I like better, so I just put them together. But these are from Pixi. These are the Pixi by Petra Glowy Glossomer Duos. This shade combination is Delicate Dew, and this one is Subtle Sunrise. I actually like both of them equally, to be honest. Like, I just think they're all really, really good. These are definitely more of an intense highlighter. So you can see this one has on top, this is like a champagne and then more of a darker gold, almost a peachy gold in this one. And then you have the pink champagne color down here and more of a traditional gold here. But all of them work great on my skin tone. None of these are too dark or anything like that, or too light. They're just like the perfect shade. I also really like using these as eyeshadows. They make a great metallic eyeshadow. So I just find them to be really good quality for drugstore. These are my favorite, yes. These are my favorite drugstore highlighters. I love them so very much, and I highly recommend them. If you have not tried these, you will not be disappointed. They honestly remind me of like the Becca formula, but they're drugstore. All right, moving on to spot number 7. It is this guy here from Peter Thomas Roth. This is called the 24 Karat Gold Pure Luxury Lift and Firm Prism Cream. So this, I'm not gonna swatch it. This is almost exactly the same color as the Dewdrops from Marc Jacobs. The reason I like these ones slightly better is because it's also infused with skincare. So this is actually supposed to also lift and firm the skin in addition to the highlight. Now, I I don't actually use this regularly enough to tell you if it lifts and firms, because I usually just use it here and there, maybe once a week or more. This is in my makeup use up for this year. I'm trying to use this up this year. And again, I use this the same way as the dewdrops. I either will apply it to my décolleté, my shoulders as a spot highlight, or this one, not so much with the dewdrops, but this one I will actually sometimes use like as a primer underneath my foundation, and it just adds this gorgeous glow that peeks through the foundation without being like oily looking. So I just really think it's a fantastic product, very versatile, and I really love it. Highlighter number 6, this here is from MAC. This is the Beaming Blush Extra Dimension Highlight. Oh, these are so pretty. I love these extra dimension highlighters from MAC. I had another shade which I ended up decluttering because the shade itself didn't look great on me, but the formula of these is very nice. So I put it right here. This is another peachy color, but this peachy color is probably my favorite of the peachy colors I have. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's the top spot for the peachy tones. It's just more natural looking than a lot of the other ones. I feel like just look kind of holographic and a little crazy. This one doesn't. It just looks really natural, like a natural pink glow to the skin, pinky peach color. But yeah, I really love this one. I use it quite a lot, and I definitely recommend that one. Okay, this is gonna be a long video. Thank you for sticking through, but we finally made it to the top 5 spots. So number 5 is this here from Laura Mercier, and yes, this is just a deluxe sample size, but I love this. I fell in love with it. When I run out of this little size, I probably will buy the full size. It's the translucent powder in the glow shade. I actually wasn't expecting a lot from this, and I thought it would be more like a finishing powder, but I use it more as a highlighter. It is a loose powder, but it gives a beautiful, it's like the perfect highlight. It gives a beautiful golden champagne glow to the skin that is more on the subtle side while still being visible to the eye. So I put it right here, and hopefully it catches the light a little bit, but it's subtle, but it's gorgeous. It's just the perfect highlighter, I think. I really like it. When I had it in my drawer, I was using it like every single day. This little tiny size has lasted a while though, because you don't need a lot with highlight, but I still feel like I'll probably use this up soon and need to go buy the full size. Next, we have another one of the Becca highlights. This is my favorite shade from Becca, so this made it into spot number 4. This is the shade Moonstone. This shade, of all the shades out of the Becca highlighters, works the best for my skin tone. So if you have a similar skin tone to me, this one's the best one. The thing about this one is I can wear it year round. It is like a light champagne color. I put it right here. It looks good on my skin when I'm a little bit more fair or when I have a little tan. It's a year-round color for me, so that's why it is my favorite of the Becca shades. I really like it. At the formula, again, you can't go wrong with Becca highlighters. They're super creamy, super pigmented. They're a little bit more on the intense side, so if you don't like an intense highlight, you might not like them because you can definitely see a little bit of that shimmer there, but it's super pretty. All right, next up, number 3 is from MAC. This is the Soft and Gentle. This is probably the first high-end highlighter I ever purchased, and I still love it. It is still one of the best highlighters out there. This is the old packaging though. They have changed the packaging since I bought this one. I can't believe I haven't hit pan on this, to be honest, but this is again, one of those highlighters that you can build up. So you can make it look a little bit more subtle, a little less intense, or you can build it up to be a very, blingy highlight. But the color is what I love about this. It's one of those colors that just looks good on me year round with any makeup look. It's just a perfect highlighter on my skin tone, and I definitely love this one. All right, spot number 2 had to go to this Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder. This one is the Luminous Light. This is very similar to me to the MAC one as far as shade, but this one's a little bit more versatile because I can use this as a finishing powder. It's a more subtle highlight that can be built up to be a little bit more visible, or it's so subtle you could definitely still use it as a finishing powder, so I find it to be a lot more of a versatile product. One of my favorite things to do with this powder is if I get like a little too much blush or too much bronzer, I'll take a big buffing brush with a little bit of this powder and just blend it out, and it softens everything up and adds a little glow at the same time. So I really love this. I use it all the time. I feel like I'm probably gonna hit pan on this one soon as well. So yeah, definitely recommend that guy. All right, we finally made it to number 1. This is probably not going to surprise any of you because I talk about it a lot, although I haven't talked about it in a while. This is my Lancome highlighter. This is called the Dual Finish Highlighter, and I have the shade Sparkling Pache. I would like more of these. I think they're amazing. It literally feels like a cream when you put your finger in. It's so intense and so foiled, metallic. This technically is another peachy gold color, but it's right here. If you like intense highlighters, you will love these. You will love these. They do have a little glitter in there, but it is more of like a foiled metallic kind of highlight, and yeah, they're just stunning. I also like using this on my eye. I do also have the highlighter palette, which I didn't include any palettes in today's video, but I do have that as well that has a couple shades from this line in there, but these are really fantastic for a very intense highlight. Okay, I'm super thirsty now. That was a lot of talking. That was the longest video ever. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Thank you for sticking around and watching the whole thing. I really do appreciate it. I would love to hear from you guys. What is your favorite highlighter from your collection? But that's it for me today. Thank you so much. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.